What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, and this is my top 10 favorite Yes songs. Did the albums, now I'm just doing my favorite songs. That's it. So yeah, I'll talk from 10 to 1, and then I'll put the list up on the screen when I'm done. So anyways, number 10, To Be Alive, parentheses, Hep Yada. Hep Yada, I think that's what they're saying. That's the name of the song. From The Ladder. This is a fantastic song. It doesn't really sound like Yes. I literally, it was the last thing I listened to prior to making this video, like probably 30 seconds, however long this is, 40 seconds. So 50 seconds ago, I listened to this song. It kind of reminds me of maybe something you would get out of like the 80s, like maybe like a sort of mid-tempo, upbeat, life-affirming like Bruce Hornsby song, or maybe something like some random obscure new wave act, or somebody like Level 42 or some. It doesn't really feel like Yes, but at the same time it completely feels like Yes, because Anderson's vocal is fantastic, the energy is fantastic. It's just got such a neat vibe about it. To Be Alive, like Hep Yada. Yeah, check it out if you haven't heard it. It really is, I don't know, it just really. And if you do listen to it and you can think of a band that it reminds you of, let me know, because I've yet to really put my finger on like, it reminds me of somebody, but I can't figure out who. I don't know. All right. Number 9 is City of Love off 90125. 90125. Sounds weird. I love that song. I liked it when I first bought the album, and then when I saw it live and they sort of went a little darker in it, and like Rabin does some really good sort of more metallic metal type stuff, I really thought that was fantastic back then. And then they kind of stretch it out, maybe like add 3 or 4 minutes just because they play with it a lot. And then they went into Starship Trooper. And so that single experience of those two songs back to back, probably one of the single greatest experiences I've had seeing live music. But I fell in love with City of Love at that moment, and I just kind of became obsessed with the song for a while after that. This is what, back like 83, 84. I just love that boom, boom. The City of Love. Love the production. Love, I don't even know what Anderson's talking about, but once beaten, twice shy. No regrets at all. The only thing that kind of bothers me about the song is that ba-da-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, like melody that they keep repeating, that they kind of toyed with in the live version, to kind of repeat and like go away from and come back to. Reminds me a lot of Styx's Lonely People, but in these city streets and New One. Almost the same melody. I'm almost positive. Like, if you listen to City of Love and you know Lonely People, sing them or listen to them back to back. Pretty sure it's the same sort of melodic. Like, ba-da-dum, bum, ba-dun, dun, 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 dun. Maybe a little note or two different in there, but they're very similar. Number 8, another thing that does not sound like Yes. I'm trying to, again, I was listening to it about 10 minutes ago, and it reminds me of somebody, but I can't, maybe like, reminds me of like George Harrison. No. Don't Kill the Whale off Tormato. Just this awesome little environmental rights activist disco song. It's got a groove. I love the guitar playing. I love the energy. It's a fun little danceable little nice little pop song. Like, kind of fits in the same little pocket as To Be Alive, where it doesn't really sound like Yes because it's not very proggy, but at the same time it's obviously a prog band trying to make maybe a pop or disco, or in this case disco song. Just really good energy, really good vibe, really good fun. Like, I don't think there's anything musically like mind-blowing about it, but literally everything else on this list is as musically intense as could possibly be. So we need something on this list that we can just sit back and enjoy and move our hips to. And that's what Don't Kill the Whale is. I don't even know what the lyrics are. Like, I know they're like environmental, like don't kill the whale. It's like not a metaphor. I think it's a literal request. But who cares? It's a great, fun, awesome song. Number 7, Yours Is No Disgrace. We're now getting into just prog awesomeness, perfection from the opening. Bum, ba, bum, bum. Like Steve Howe's breakdown in the middle without bam, bam, that guitar solo, boo, boo, and those like up strings up high. Just everything about the song, the structure of the song, the way they go back to that opening theme, and then Howe drops his solo, the way it was performed live, like that box set with all those 72 shows. Like Yours Is No Disgrace. That intro they add in the middle, the live breakdown. It's still a good song, the studio version, but what they did to it live was even more fantastic. Just all around great lyrics, great energy. That like just fleet flying. Guitar energy from Howe in the intro. I think it was like an anti-Vietnam War song, right? If I'm not mistaken. Just fantastic, absolutely wonderful, wonderful, awesome song. I think almost every band, every touring band played it. I don't think they played it on the 90125 tour, but I know they played it on the Big Generator tour, though they might have played it on both. It's a great song. Siberian Khatru is number 6. It would probably be number 6 for that guitar intro alone. That just absolutely fantastic. I mean, Howe is a god. Just love this. Love that riff that they drop into, that just repeating that they kind of double down and kind of get into it. And you want more groove with them. The middle part where like Wakeman gets his chance to shine in the middle. The guitar playing at the end. The weird little breakdown where they're like, bah, 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 and like doing that weird vocal thing where just psych weirdness for no good reason. Other than psych weirdness is a phenomenal thing. Like there are so many little pockets of this song that are just absolutely perfect. And, yeah, just fantastic. And another one that live, it just like, I remember when that 1972 box set came out. They released a box set a couple of years ago, maybe 10 years ago at this point. Has it been that long? Maybe 6 or 7. But it was a bunch of live shows. Pretty much the same set list, except for one show every night. But it really showed the band playing this kind of material, the stuff from Fragile and Close to the Edge and their second album. That was really... showed them loose and kind of limber and like in a rock. Like even though these were like really complicated prog songs, there was a looseness and a rawness to them. And I think Siberian Khatru in the studio version kind of captures a lot of that rawness just because the song has such an incredible groove. And they usually open their shows with the song, which was fantastic. Number 5 off Tales from Topographic Oceans, The Ancient, Giants Under the Sun. This still feels to me decades ahead of its time. This is a weird friggin' song. This really weird, dense percussion energy that's just going on in the beginning. And then Steve Howe is doing the most weird, deep, dark, psych prog lines you can imagine anybody to do. And this just goes on for way longer than you expect it should. But it just feels like you're completely in this whole other universe musically. I was listening to this recently, and I don't know if anybody watches the TV show Community, but there's an episode in Community where the dean goes into this like virtual reality space, and it's this sparse like environment with like these just giant stone like buildings that pop up. And that's what this song feels like to me. Like this really sparse, somewhat intimidating foreign place with just these like weird projections popping up or trees being everywhere. Maybe the ancients are trees. But it has this really dark yet inviting energy. And then we eventually get to the vocals. Then we have a whole bunch of other weird random stuff happen. And then towards the end, we finally go acoustic. And then once we go acoustic, we end with this really almost like gentle, almost lullaby-less energy, that like lullaby-ish energy that just contrasts so perfectly to this otherworldly craziness that we start off in. Like this seems like something like if Animal Collective were doing something really out there and weird these days, or Battles or somebody. This seems like something a lot, or even Swans in some level, if their sort of technical aspirations were higher. This seems so modern and ahead of its time. It's such a fantastic song on a absolutely fantastic, underrated album. Number 4, Gates of Delirium. Again, we're going with these 20-minute epics at this point. Gates of Delirium has probably one of the sickest I don't even know what it is. Is it a jam? It's a composed section? It's a series of psychedelic terrors in the form of music. The middle section of this song is just some of the most ridiculously played prog rock in the history of prog rock. Um, Everything about it, every musician, the lines, the ideas, the transitions, the grooves. It is just some of the most beautifully composed chaos of ever. And then that beautifully composed chaos just gets more and more chaotic. And then you come out of it in triumphant style with this like bam, 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 almost like celebratory type riff. And then all of that kind of fades away and dies out. And you go into this really just distant, floating, accepting acoustic world where John Anderson comes forward and sings soon, oh, soon, whatever those lyrics are. One of the most beautiful things Yes has ever put to tape. I saw Soon, heard Soon for the first time on the 90125 tour. John Anderson did it as like a solo piece. Like, you know, when like everybody had their own solo section. I think that was Anderson's solo piece as he sang Soon. And I just fell in love with it there. And then I remember going to the record store and like wanting to buy this, and I couldn't find it on any of their albums. And I finally found out it was on Gates of Delirium. And then I put on Gates of Delirium and was like, what? There's no Soon here. So I thought somebody had lied to me. Then I got to the end and was like, oh, wow, this is good. It's even better in context of like the chaos that goes on before it. Gates of Delirium, just an absolute masterpiece. Number 3, Close to the Edge, another 20-minute masterpiece. That first section, when things are like absolutely chaotic, when the world erupts into creation and life forms are all bouncing around all over the place, trying to like come together and like form life, which is what I envision is happening in the first like 4 or 5 minutes of this, when it's just chaos. Some of the most amazing music ever. Then we drop into all these incredible grooves, that beautiful section in the middle with that awesome, like the lyrics with like Squire echoing like what Anderson's saying and sort of the contrasting vocal lines. So beautiful. And then you get the Wakeman's ridiculous solo after that part. And then we go back to the main themes and the ending. Yeah, Close to the Edge might be one of the greatest psych songs ever recorded in the history of ever. It's a little more accessible than Gates of Delirium. Gates of Delirium is pretty intense. I think Close to the Edge, despite its in-your-face chaos, is maybe a little more melodic in many of its parts. It holds together just a little bit better, but they're pretty close. And but yeah, Close to the Edge, absolutely fantastic. Title track of the same album. Number 2, Heart of the Sunrise. I would argue it's not my favorite Yes song, but like I would argue it's the greatest psych song ever written. I think Heart of the Sunrise captures everything you want out of a prog psych, but it's one of the greatest prog songs ever written. Just that riff, and then you drop into the opening. Bill Bruford's drumming on after they do the main little sort of main theme, and they drop into the part where Squire's like do 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 do. Bill Bruford's drumming during that section might be like 2.5 of my favorite minutes of music in the history of music. Like Bruford's drum work is just out there. It is just so perfect and delicate, yet forceful, and yet just, oh my gosh, so good. And then you get the beautiful vocals, some of Anderson's best vocals. The whole middle section where you're going back and forth before that intro, and then other little Wakeman excursions, and the way everything builds, and the screaming vocals, which are just so absolutely anthemic and like get at your heart, and just a perfect 9-minute prog song. Just, yeah, mind blowing, exhilarating. Evil. Have you ever seen Buffalo 66? Gallo uses Heart of the Sunrise in Buffalo 66 to the, like, it'll change. The evil of this song, you will never be able to separate it because he does such a wonderful job of sort of recontextualizing what this song might mean, the way he uses it in Buffalo 66. I didn't look to see if it's out on YouTube. If it's out on YouTube, the clip of him using it, I'll put it in the comments. If it's not in the comments, the link, not the actual video. I couldn't find it on YouTube. And then finally, my number 1 favorite song, Starship Trooper. I always liked Starship Trooper before I had seen them live. And then when I saw them live and I saw what they did to Starship Trooper live and I saw its full potential, like I was never able to unhear that. And this song is just those opening chords, just the way he plays those opening like arpeggiated chords, just magical. Just the lyrics, Squire's bass throughout the whole thing is just some of the most trippiest psych prog music ever. The little acoustic middle section is amazing. And then the worm, just those three chords just over and over is like Chris Squire just like lays down that bass. And then we get this solo that just could go on forever. And I would never get bored. Like one of Steve Howe's just absolutely like bow at the altar of. Just such an amazing, amazing song. Yeah, and just epic, epic live. That's my number one, Starship Trooper. That's what they look like in writing right there. Those are them. I highly recommend you go listen to them because they're all fantastic. But the one I think a lot of people probably don't know about is, because I'm not sure how popular the latter is To Be Alive. Check that out. That is such a weird, neat, little, quirky little pop song. Oh, it's fantastic. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. That's all I got. Subscribe, like, share. Let me know your favorite Yes songs. You know how comments work, people. Do the comment thing in the comments. All right. Peace. Talk to you later.